Hello my friends, welcome back to SFO Grimhammer, where today the warriors of Plague Papa Nurgle and a mountain god protect their home turf against an undead invasion. Kholek Suneater walks the world of men once more, ready to drop the hammer and splinter some skellies in the name of the dark gods. And I think this is one of the more lopsided matchups in the base game. Chaos has a particularly bad time against the vampire counts in vanilla, but this is SFO, it's a different animal entirely and the same beast. With that said, it isn't going to be easy. Falcon commands the undead hordes with Black Grail knights and Varix reavers and a zombie dragon flying overhead. Go figure, wouldn't be a Falcon game with that one. But leading the army is the abomination that is Helman Ghorst. Imagine having like 15 cool name characters to draw from, and you decide to go for Ghorst as a legendary lord pick. Absolutely disgusting. But on my side, we've got Kholek, the Demon Spew, and their giant buddy. Kholek himself has even greater control over lightning here, strikes more times, deals more damage, and can even summon a vortex when he's deep into melee combat. And the giant is going to be the X factor here. Its job is to keep high and tight and outduel anything that comes their way. They're without question more useful in SFO. Each faction's giant has a unique ability, and for Chaos, this guy can roar, lowering melee stats of all nearby enemies, and combine that with his innate trample, constant damage aura at his feet, he can pulp infantry exceptionally well. But the stars of the show are the size of Nurgle, the sons of the Lost Plague, the chosen of their father. This is how I want Marks to function in Game 3. Unique units with unique abilities and a special battlefield role. And where these guys shine is their regen, their high weapon strength and armor, and their Touch of the Plague, which knocks back enemies and infects them with lethal poison. So they just need to outlast and outgrind the Graveguard and Skeleton Swarm that's soon to be heading their way. And we've got regular Chosen too, also with the Mark of Nurgle, but blessed a little bit differently. They trade some of their stats for higher armor and a Plague contact effect that drains the HP from enemies. Very tanky, great defensive stats. They should also hold really well. They're the Sword and Board variant, so their defensive abilities are quite potent. Got a Fire Sorcerer with Fireball, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and Burning Head leading the Vanguard. And across the way for Falcon and the Vampire Counts, there's a Zombie Dragon bound in service to Ghorst. I believe both Chaos and the Counts get dragons as units in their roster, which is a pretty potent addition. Its Pestilential Breath could end up being a big problem for my elite infantry. And on the left flank come the Feasters of the Dust Crypt Ghouls, alongside Varix Reavers and the Knights of the Black Grail. Varix Reavers are AP now, equipped with great swords instead of shield and lance, and the Black Grail Knights have self-sustaining regen and high physical resist. Only a handful of them in a unit, 12 in all, but each one is a very powerful warrior. And that Cav contingent is going to be a nightmare to deal with. So across the front line, bunch of zombies, skeletons, and Graveguard. Vampire Counts like to swarm the field with numbers, with the Tithe forming the main bodyguards of Ghorst and his corpse cart. And the Tithe are super interesting. They've got a stupidly large health pool of over 20,000, decent melee attack and armor piercing, but they're a lot more expensive than the typical zombie, so kind of a mid-tier zombie. And Ghorst magic must have done a number on them because they hit hard. There's the Meme Lord himself with the Liber Noctis and a Helman's Blight, just an aura lord essentially, who wades in, summons Graveguard or White Kings, and passively buffs the grind in the middle of everything. Get the heals down, get the summons down. He will not have zombie summons though, he can only summon those Graveguard. And then to round off the build, he's got some dismounted Blood Dragon warriors, and that's pretty much it. So I have no aerial presence here whatsoever, which means that zombie dragon has free reign in the skies. But if it lands in the wrong spot, could be in for a bad day. Kholek and a giant can kill pretty much anything that gets thrown their way, but Falcon has his pick of the litter in terms of when and where to land and when and where to use those breath attacks, and those are what really scare me. Nurgle Chosen can hold out and rack up kills all day against zombies and Graveguard and Skellies, but they can get blasted into the next dimension by breath attacks, and that's going to be a problem if it happens. Here we got a Fireball smacking the Helman Ghorst in the face, going to take his HP down by almost a third there. Fireballs are really good against corpse carts. I didn't even overcast that one, and he felt that one for sure. But Varix Reavers are already getting in there. Marauders are not going to be able to hold on very long, and that's why we've gone for so much elite infantry in this battle. Do have some Marauder Horsemasters though, and they're going to feel the wrath of that zombie dragon getting absolutely carved apart by that breath attack, and they're going to see more than half their number drop in that opening salvo. They will retreat. They do have bonus for Slorge in SFO, so their ranged attacks can be very good against the cavalry here, but the zombie dragon going to do a good job of zoning them out, and that means we're going to have to be moving far away. Kholek and the giant coming over to this side. In the center, Chaos Spawn and the infantry fighting the Blood Dragon warriors and the skeleton horde. Chaos Spawn are going to go a long way in shifting this infantry grind in my favor. They have really good stats for an unbreakable unit at their price point, and the Nurgle Chosen, with their plague size, they're going to do a great job of holding down the left flank. And anytime they get swarmed, you can just use that Verminous Valor ability, that Plague ability, that knocks back enemies and essentially gives them a whole bunch of space, deals damage, gives them lethal poison, drains their HP as well. Flaming Sword of Ruin going down in the middle of the engagement to buff up the Chaos Spawn, and Falcon will respond in kind with the Von Hall's Danse Macabre. There goes the Pestilential Touch of Plague on both flanks, actually, in the center and all the way on the other side. And both are going to do a lot of killing as that goes off. It really does do a good job of draining a bunch of their HP. Zombie Dragon is waiting, doesn't want to land in the infantry quite yet, realizing that Kholek could stop over and give him the business. The Demon Spew have not been committed yet, and on the right flank, the Cavalry is realizing they do not want to be fighting a Mountain God and a Giant. Knights of the Black Grail and the Varix Reavers are escaping, and they'll be looking to charge into the center, maybe get a rear charge into the Marauders and break those Chaos Spawn too. Knights of the Black Grail are bonus versus large, do not want them charging into my Chaos Spawn. Graveguard have gotten a perfect surround off on the Sons of the Last Plague, and they're holding on with their size, but the Demon Spew overlapping that engagement, while the Knights of the Black Grail do the exact same thing. And if you want to turn the infantry fight in your favor, look no further than the superhuman undead freaks that are Black Grail Knights. They make Blood Knights look like pussies, and the Forsaken will get taken to Pound Town with a hammer and anvil. Nicely played. But if the Cav commits too hard, King Ashagus can stomp his way over and introduce them to his friend Star Crusher, so they'll want to be careful. White King stuck in there too, and a really nice heal gonna pop down on the Varix Reavers just as they touch down. But remember, in SFO, units lose efficiency while healing, so they're gonna lose 25% of their melee attack while that spell is active. The Fire Sorcerer got destroyed by the Zombie Dragon, but now he's fighting Kholek and a Giant. He will be able to escape. The Cav will give him a little bit more space. And over here, the Chosen have already racked up almost 150 kills. The Plague effect, the Draining effect, their amazing stat line, their defensive capabilities, it's all combined to make them absolutely thrash all the skeletons and crypt ghouls that have come their way. Now, of course, they're not fighting the elite Graveguard with their armor-piercing two-handed greatswords. They're not fighting the Zombie Dragon right now. Kill count will be inflated, but they're still holding down an entire flank by themselves, so it's hard to be mad about their damage output so far, and they're definitely doing a lot of work for me right now. So, yeah, they're closing in on 200 kills already. Pretty badass. Now, looking back, actually, Helman Ghorst was kind of isolated. In the center, could have maybe gotten Kholek Suneater and the Giant to go pound on him. We're going to call Lord of the Storm down on the Graveguard. The Sternsmen are going to feel that one in the morning for sure, and they will retreat and stop fighting the Sons of the Lost Plague. And instead, try to zone out the Corpse Cart, or zone out Kholek and the Giant so the Corpse Cart can escape, and do a good job of it as the Cavalry and all the elites for the Vampire counts collapse into the middle, which will leave Kholek and the Giant a little bit exposed, but they're summoning all their Vortex spells, all their lightning, and truly channeling the power of the Shaggoth. Lightning dropping down like crazy, getting a ton of kills for Kholek Suneater, and we're swarming in the middle, trying to win this fight as the Giant drops that Chaotic Roar, lowers the weapon damage of everything. So the Black Knights aren't actually hitting quite as hard as they were before, and the infantry grind going pretty well in other spots of the map. So I'm thinking this is looking okay for me so far. Balance bar maybe a little bit in the favor of the Vampire counts, but it does get inflated. Unfortunately, the Giant did just rout, which was surprising to me. I wouldn't say this is the happiest he's ever been, but high leadership is really what keeps the Giant a somewhat useful unit even in vanilla. Obviously, it has a ton of problems, but against the Vampire counts, you need that 90 or 100 leadership to keep them in the fight. I think he has a little bit lower base leadership in SFO, and that's really going to hurt me there because the Giant routes, and that means Kholek is fighting by himself. Big Burning Head, though, gonna murder a whole swath of Tithe, zombies, and Graveguard, and the Chaos Spawn, because they're unbreakable, are fighting way past the point most monstrous infantry would. Which is really important for me, because I need something holding down that side of the battlefield as the Chosen and the rest of the infantry make their way over. I don't know what the Giant's doing. I guess lost in thought, pondering the secrets of the Immaterium. He routed the wrong way, but thankfully it was through the Sons of the Lost Plague, so he will be able to extricate himself from what was a bad situation and should be able to return, while the Sons of Nurgle keep beating on those Graveguard summons. And here, Kholek and the Chaos Spawn teaming up to deal with the White King and the Knights of the Black Grail. Chosen are still fighting, still carving their way through zombie hordes, just trying to get through all that HP. Decapitations going off everywhere, while Kholek introduces the zombies to his friend Starcrusher. My name is Starcrusher, and I like to party. My name is Kholek Suneater, and I like to party. Zombies don't like to party, they're getting pancaked by the big boy, and the Black Knights and the Knights of the Black Grail are feeling it too. And he's gonna summon the lightning from on high, all of it raining down from the heavens like some form of divine punishment. And the vampire counts are getting exploded by Kholek as they try to swarm and finish him off. Even the zombie dragon forced to commit here, realizing if they don't kill Kholek quickly, they're gonna be in for a world of hurt. But Kholek realizes fighting the knights and fighting a relatively full-strength zombie dragon probably not gonna go so well for him. And so we're going to have to take these engagements on the periphery and shift on over to where the Sons of the Lost Plague are strongest. And they're dealing with the vampire counts over on this side with the help of the Giant, who should have his Chaotic War up pretty soon. Scab's Cash going down from the White King. Falcon getting a really nice cast on those Marauders, who will break for the third or fourth time this game. Marauders have not done particularly well, but the Chosen have. And now we've got a monster mash with a Giant, with a zombie dragon, with Kholek Suneater bounding in from behind, and that is going to be the engagement that pretty much decides the battle. If the Giant and Kholek can team up and bring down the dragon, they should be able to take the field. If the zombie dragon can keep cycle charging and escaping, it's going to be pretty hard to finish it off, because he does have a lot of meat shields to support him, to block out the charges, to make it more difficult for the two monsters of the Chaos side to close in and finish him off. Fire Sorcerer escaping from the various Reavers and popping a Flaming Sword of Ruin to hopefully overtune the melee stats of all these boys in the fight, trying to deal with the vampire counts, but they're starting to look a little bit too strong here in the Chaos Waste. Giant getting back in there, Kholek getting back in there, maybe a couple more Vortexes and another touch of Plague on the way, with a Fireball ready to snipe out that Corpse Cart and finish it off for good. But Kholek and the Warriors of Nurgle are completely surrounded. They are outgunned, outmaneuvered, outmanned, and the Giant is slivers of HP from dropping, or at the very least, running for the hills. And you can see a lot of crumbling on the Vampire Count side as well, but the Marauders are routing, most of the Infantry for Chaos is breaking, the Corpse Cart is seconds from going down here, and in fact, looks like that Fireball will be enough to finish it off. But now it's down to the monster mash, it's down to the duel between Kholek, between the Giant, between the zombie dragon as more lightning rains down, and it looks like the zombie dragon is going to be able to clutch it out. Just had too much HP left, the heals were too much, and Helman Ghorst is still almost full HP. Didn't focus on him quite enough either. Thought of him as a meme lord, but he ended up carrying the day with his heals and his summons, and made a pretty big impact on that game. In fact, he got, well, let's see, 71 kills. Not bad at all. And so, for the vampire count side, obviously, they weren't going to have large kill counts, but you can see both the zombie dragon, well, he got a lot, 120, double silver chevrons. That is 5 chevrons. That's pretty insane. I don't think he started the match with any either. Knights of the Black Grail got 2, racking up quite a lot of damage on both Kholek and the Giant, and that is their role. Their job is to get in there with a good charge, maybe kill some infantry, but for the most part, you want them to win the cav fight, then cycle charge monsters, and they do that exceptionally well. Infantry didn't do that great for the vampire counts, while mine certainly did. 386 on the Nurgle Chosen, amazing. And the Sons of the Last Plague, 198, 93, definitely did pretty well too. One of them even earned a chevron. The Demon Spew, 163 kills. The Fire Sorcerer, 112 on the back of 2 burning heads. And Kholek Suneater with 178, also dealing a ton of damage to the Zombie Dragon and to the Corpse Carts as well. So a pretty interesting game. The thing that disappointed me the most was my Giant breaking so easily. I wouldn't say it was easy for him to break. Falcon did commit a lot to killing him off, but when you expect to see 100 leadership like he has in the base game, I believe, seeing him rout when he's about half HP is frustrating. And I think if he'd been able to tank out a little bit longer and not run away, might have been able to rack up more damage on the zombie dragon and maybe finish him off for good. With that said though, Kholek was an absolute monster all game long, But you can see why this matchup is maybe not the easiest for Chaos. It kind of felt very similar to the base game. It played out pretty similarly to a regular Chaos vs Vampire Counts matchup. Falcon played well for sure, but at the end of the day, I don't think this is ever going to be a particularly easy matchup for Chaos until they get more immunity to Psych and more ability to deal with the aerial threats the Vampire Counts can field.